Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why the left always seems to side with criminals in almost every case, specifically in the case of the Kyle Rittenhouse Self Defense. Who are these people always siding with? They're always siding with a bunch of dead criminals that included a child molester, that included a wife beater / domestic violence abuser, etc. there. And about 35 or 40 other criminals that were trying to kill Kyle. That's what it was. So basically, I had an interesting interaction with some guy here recently about the Rittenhouse self-defense because he was saying some dumb shit. And one of the things that I was going over here and stuff. And then it was basically from there, it sort of spiraled out of control from there is what it was, though. And it kind of makes me wonder, honestly, if this individual user here on Twitter /X wasn't actually Jump Kick Man himself, if that be the case. Or some other dumbass that was there that night that was doing all kinds of felonies and stuff, committing arson, committing, breaking and entering, trying to burn down businesses, all that stuff like that. What it is, burn down cars, smash up car windows, smash up car doors. Hell, I remember a video from the Kenosha riots there, where you literally had Antifa assholes, including that piece of shit Anthony Huber, who were using the skateboards to literally take the wheels of the skateboard area there in the decks and smash the shit out of car windows that were in parking lots and everything else like that. Like the windshields, and then obviously like the side windows and stuff like that, and possibly even pop up in the car door then after they smash the window in so they could go steal shit out of the vehicles is what it was then. And yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit, dude, entirely. Not to mention, I believe if I'm not mistaken, there's people that were talking about people like Huber using the skateboard that night, besides obviously beating Kyle in the face with this, what it was there, to try and use it for leverage to pop open doors and stuff like that so they could actually pop open the outer doors of businesses and stuff like that, so you can go in there and rob those places, what it was, and then send them on fire after the fact is what it is then. So yeah, a bunch of shit all the way around, dude, entirely. But anyway, so basically this was referring to what we talked about earlier in the last Grandstand, which is basically you had Rittenhouse, or you had that video of Rosenbaum, at the ultimate gas station, whatever it called, I'm not sure. It was something with Alta something or other. I'm not sure if it was Ultima or Ultimate, but either way, it was the gas station that was there in Wisconsin. They were all gathering as what it was there. And him talking a bunch of shit to everybody is what it was. And then you had this fucking guy jump in here and originally say, and I quote, "So Rittenhouse is Judge Dredd. He gets to decide based on someone's history if he should extrajudicially prosecute them. Nope, I bet you've got some skeletons. Should Kyle handle you too?" That meant the person that was actually posting that whole thing. The thing about that is too, it's and as I pointed out here, I said, first off, Kyle had no knowledge that Rosenbaum was a child rapist. What he did know was this crazy asshole threatened to kill him multiple times that night. Then when he turned around in the car lot, the same guy is grabbing for his rifle. It's called stand your ground. And that's true for that matter, dude. And I don't care how you look at it, whether it be, even if they don't have to stand your ground on that stage, what it is, it's still a stand your ground defense is what it is, dude. You still have every legal right to defend yourself at that point then. And if it's not technically stand your ground, then something else is what it would be called then. And of course, this guy was came back at me and was bitching and moaning about how saying Wisconsin doesn't have a stand your ground law. 2, Rittenhouse couldn't buy the gun he was brandishing. Well, 2 things on that actually. Number 1, doesn't matter with the gun thing. Number 2, he wasn't brandishing a firearm, you moron. There's a big difference there, is what it is. If you're talking about carrying around a rifle, being brandishing, then you're a fucking moron entirely. You know nothing about actual laws for firearms, is what it is, dude. If the only thing if he had a handgun out was waving it around, but no, he wasn't even waving a gun around at all, dude. He had this gun pointed in a safe direction the entire time until somebody fucking tried to assault him, and they had to pull the gun in self-defense basically and raise it up as it was then. And then he said 3, you'd be pretty angry too if some kid came to your town and started waving a gun around. Again, it wasn't their fucking town, you dumb fuck. Rosenbaum didn't live there. Huber didn't live there. Grosskurtz didn't live there. As far as I'm aware, the fucking guy they called Joe lived there. None of these fucking assholes lived in Kenosha, Wisconsin, dude. They all were fucking out-of-towners who came there to commit rioting and fucking arson over some piece of shit motherfucking multi-time felon named Jacob Blake. The only person who was actually from the fucking town was Kyle Rittenhouse, who technically lived about 15 minutes just over the border in Illinois with his mother. But guess what? His dad actually lives in Kenosha, asshole. At least did anyway at the time. Kyle's job was in Kenosha. A lot of Kyle's friends were from Kenosha. He was a pillar of the Kenosha community. Unlike every fucking piece of shit criminal y'all are cucking for there. So, anyway. And yeah, my response to this fucking guy was, stop trying to cuck for a child molester, a wife beater, and several dozen other felons that were all assaulting Kyle that night. What's done is done in the story. 2 less pieces of shit in the world. And that's the truth of the matter, dude. You had 2 pieces of shit trying to kill this man. A 3rd piece of shit, who actually, by the way, was brandishing that night, and Gage Grosskurtz, who pulled the gun up on Kyle. The handgun that he was illegal in possession of, by the way, because he had A, no legal right to be carrying it, number 1, because of the fact he did not have a legal concealed carry license in a state that required such a thing, and B, lost said license because, shocker, he had a felony burglary charge on his fucking record, dude. But yet Grosskurtz was still in possession of an illegal firearm at the time. And it's now why he's missing a bicep, which honestly, if Kyle had been able to hit a little bit, to the right, basically, it would have been right through the fucking forehead of Gage Grosskurtz. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze real quick. Hope it didn't get cut on camera. Also found out this morning that apparently number 1 buyer for the house right now, which when he talked to me the other day was talking about me possibly being a renter here. Turns out he actually does just want to buy the property and live / probably renovate the house with his family is what it is then. So it is what it is, man. I figured I'd probably have to leave the house anyways, what it is. And honestly, with the way my body is anymore, like, I'm probably better off just going and renting like a duplex someplace in like this area is what it is or something. And then just having like a one level duplex or something like that is what it is. Or even just like a 1 or 2 bedroom house is what it'd be then. Like as cheap as possible around here or something. Maybe try to see if I can rent like a 2 bedroom around here or something like that. And then just have, like a roommate or something to be the case then. Where it's like, here's my room, there's your room. This is all common ground for both of us to live in or whatever the case be. And, whether that be a guy roommate, whether it be a girl roommate, whether it be something else for that matter, who knows? But, yeah. Only time will tell, honestly. And like I said, it'll be months from now. Obviously, I'm just bringing it up now because, and it's not even, for sure that this guy's going to be the one that's going to buy the place, obviously, but that's, that was the one that Mom was talking about wanting to sell to is what it was the most. So, and it seems to me like he actually has the connections and inroads and stuff like that to be able to sort of facilitate this a lot more than any other person around here that's interested would be able to do then. Seeing as how his cousin's one of the auctioneers locally is what it is there. So, anyway. But yeah, so that's the whole thing. We're gonna do probably a walkthrough here in a couple weeks is my guess, honestly, with that whole thing then, to see exactly what would need to be, loopholed around or what you call it through, and what would have to be updated basically before you have to be able to sell it is what it is. Which obviously we're trying to sell as is, obviously, because you can only afford to do any updates. Would be then. So, but anyway. But yeah, what I thought was interesting though, because even looking at Wisconsin gun laws here, which is what I was doing by the way with the whole stand your ground thing. which they do have castle doctrine in that state. The problem is I'm not sure if it would have covered Kyle that matter because of the fact that technically it wasn't his business that he was in or whatever at the time. It was somebody else's. And so I'm not sure if any of this would have been, technically qualified or whatever the case be. But this is what Wisconsin's castle doctrine is here. It was talking about use of force in response to unlawful and forcible entry into a dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business, civil liability immunity. So in this section, actor means a person who uses force that is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm to another person. Dwelling has the given meaning in a different part of the whole thing. Then it said place of business means a business that the actor owns or operates. So that would be, none of these places were actually owned or operated by Kyle, but he was defending them for the people that actually did on them that night. So technically it might qualify as a castle doctrine situation, if that would be the case. I'm not sure, honestly, offhand. Then it says to accept as provided in subsection 4. An actor is immune from civil liability arising out of his or her use of force that is intended or likely to cause great bodily harm or death if the actor... Sorry. Got my phone was on. Yeah, it says great bodily harm. Yeah. So it cause great bodily harm if the actor reasonably believed that the use of force was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another person, or either of the following applies, which is A, a person against whom the force was used was in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering the actor's dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business. Actor was on his or her property or present in the dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business, and the actor knew or had reason to believe that the unlawful and forcible entry was occurring. So technically, that could be construed as what Kyle was doing that night in the parking lot because he was trying to prevent arsons and stuff like that from happening there is what it was. So it would have been like the unlawful entry into like vehicles, but it wouldn't be Kyle's vehicle. So it's hard to say on that one, dude, honestly. But anyway, where else are we at now? And then it said a person against whom the force was used was in the actor's dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business after unlawfully and forcibly entering it. The actor was present in the dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business, and the actor knew or had reason to believe that the person was unlawfully and forcibly entering the dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business. And section 2A, 2B applies. The finder of the fact may not consider whether the actor had the opportunity to flee or retreat before he or she used force, and the actor is presumed to have reasonably believed that the force was necessary to prevent imminent death or bodily harm to himself or herself or another person. So technically that might actually apply to Kyle on that one. Not sure, honestly. And then it was 4, presumption described in subsection 3 does not apply to any of the following were true. The actor was engaged in a criminal activity or was using his or her dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business to further a criminal activity at the time of his or her use of force. So that would not actually be against Kyle because of the fact that he was actually trying to stop people from burning down businesses at the time, including that car lot is what he'd heard, and that's why he was running with the whole fire extinguisher is what it was there. So I think that would actually fall more on Rosenbaum being able to be, disqualified from actually having a castle doctrine use of force or whatever the case be then, or anybody else for that matter. Zeminski, all these other people like that were all criminals and felons, possessions of firearms illegally is what it was then. So, and then it said, let's see where we're at now. Yeah, it said, so actor was not doing this stuff or whatever case be. So the person against whom the force was used was a public safety worker, as defined in the section, who entered or attempt to enter the dwelling or the place, whatnot. So basically, if you kill like a person who's like trying to do like a meter read or something like that, then you're obviously going to jail. Is what it is then in Wisconsin. And then it was 1, public safety worker identified himself or herself as described below. 2, the actor knew or reasonably should have known that the person entering or attempting to enter the dwelling, motor vehicle, or place of business was a safety worker. And then it said 5, if any civil action, if a court finds that the person is immune from civil liability under subsection 2, The court will award the person a reasonable attorney fee, costs, compensation for loss of income and other costs relating to court things. 6, nothing in the section may be construed to limit or impair any defense to civil or criminal liability otherwise available. So, yeah, and it goes on from there basically. But, so anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure if that would actually cover Kyle or not, because like I said, the fact that his father was technically from Kenosha, the fact that he technically was, from my understanding, living there on occasion is what it was. So that being said, obviously the place that he was, protecting was not actually his home. It was not actually his vehicle. It was not actually like a business that he owned or was like the son of the owner or whatever the case be then. It was just some guys that, contacted out Dominic Black and some other people and were like, hey, come help us protect our business, basically. And they obviously grabbed their guns and they did so, is what it was. So, and then of course, as Kyle pointed out, and as other people even, commented too for that matter, the gun was already on the table when it was handed to Kyle that night, is what it was then. And he never loaded it around in the chamber for that matter either. So whoever it was that, whether it be Dominic Black that, pulled that charging handle and loaded around in the chamber, whether it be Dominic's stepfather, or whether it be somebody else that was in the house that night that did it, who knows? But it obviously wasn't Kyle that did it, honestly. So, but anywho, again, it doesn't really matter either way because Rittenhouse stood trial. It was found that he was obviously not guilty on all charges. And it was obviously everything that came out during that whole thing. You had all these people that took the stand against him that were all a bunch of leftist assholes and the fucking cops and shit that should have done their fucking job that night and deal with these criminals is what it was, dude. That every single one of them was in the fucking wrong is what it was, dude. Hell, even that woman like I was talking about that was with Kyle that night who was hanging out and she was armed with like a handgun or whatever then and was mentioning about Rosenbaum coming up to them and being like, oh, I'm going to cut your fucking throats and shit like that, dude. And he said that to him multiple times, by the way. Like, how is that not a threat of imminent danger, dude? Like, of course you're going to turn around and see some fucking nut coming at you and trying to grab at your fucking rifle. Muzzle first, basically, is what it is there. And what you're going to be in your instinct is going to be bang, 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 bang a bunch of times, dude, until you go down is what it is then. Which is what Kyle did to that motherfucker is what it was there, man. And then it wasn't until after that, while he was trying to literally fucking leave the scene of the fucking thing to go to the cops down the way a little bit, that you then had dickhead Joshua Lewinsky and his idiot fucking wife talk about going, like, literally directing a fucking crowd of people to go attack Kyle again. Which is when the second fatal encounter happened with Anthony Hooper and the company there, dude. And then Gage Grosskreutz trying to level a gun at Kyle and actually brandish a gun at Kyle's what it was there. To then try to kill him with it, which he made in the hospital to his fucking buddy that pushed it shell over social media is what it was there. And yeah, and then Grosskreutz even admitted that shit on the fucking stand, dude. That he knew Kyle was not a fucking threat until he himself became a threat towards Kyle. It was not until then that Kyle leveled his fucking rifle and took a shot at Grosskreitz's ass, dude. Because even you can see in the video of the whole thing, if you watch the entire video there's a fourth guy, actually, that looks like he's, like, trying to go towards Kyle or whatever the case be. And then, like, realizes, like, oh, shit, I'm not, not basically, like, hands up, not armed, dude. And Kyle immediately fucking takes the gun off that dude and is like, sort of like, get the fuck out of here, bro, kind of thing. And that dude just ran off then, is what it was. And then it was like a second or two later is when Grosskreutz fucking pulled the gun out on Kyle and got his fucking arm blown off then. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude, entirely. And I'm so fucking sick and tired of these leftists trying to cuck for their fucking size what it is, dude. It's like, y'all are a bunch, you guys are minimum pedophile enablers at this point. Because you are backing people who are child molesters in this country and shit like this, which has been a known entity for almost 4 years now. Like, literally the days after that is when we found out about, Rosenbaum being a sick predator is what it is. You should never see the light of day again is what it is there, man. And yet these morons are still trying to fucking cuck for this son of a bitch, dude. Hell, you have fucking leftist retards out there right now that believe that Kyle shot and killed 3 black men that night. Even though, first of all, he shot 2 people in self-defense. Both of them were white guys. I'm going to point that one out, too, for that matter, dude. One of them was a fucking child rapist who raped 5 boys between the ages of 9 and 11 years old. The other one was a dude who had felony charges for domestic violence against his family for beating the fuck out of his grandma and his girlfriend and stuff like that. In his house is what it was there. Anthony Huber. And like I said, you have Gage Grosskreutz, who was a felon because he was doing a burglary and stuff like that, and that's why he lost CCW is what it was there. Then you had Jump Kick Man, who was like a multi-time felon they knew from the jump is what it was there. And dude was raised like a criminal is what it is. Then you had other people. And I also want to put this out too for the fact of that matter. Like this guy that brings up the whole thing of like Kyle supposedly brandishing or whatever, dude. There were people who were, when you look at the intersections, there's what it was. So you have this strip of road here, and then you obviously had like, you know, here's a block, here's a block, here's a block kind of thing. And you have like these side streets is what it is. The side street right here where Kyle, because it was like right here was when Kyle had the fatal encounter, the second one with Huber and them. There's a side street about right here, give or take, that goes into a thing. And there was actually, you could hear in the background gunshots firing. And this is when Kyle was getting up and spinning around basically to go towards the cops then. Where you had like 5 or 6 shots pop off from that area is what it was there. And then there's also a video of somebody in that area from their side. I'm not sure exactly where this video went to now because I know it was there for a while now. I watched it at least once before it got, you know, deleted out of social media or got, you know, blacklisted or whatever it was there. I'm not even sure how it would be. Or maybe it's just, you know, people just didn't post it again or whatever the case be, and it got, you know, sort of copyright struck or whatever the case be then or whatever. But anyway, there was video out there, one of the live streams anyway, where it was from that angle of that side there, from the side street, where it was either the person that was filming the gun, filming the shit, was also firing the gun with the other hand, where they had like where they had their phone up basically kind of like this or whatever, and then they were like shooting a gun with the other hand like that, or it could have been like this, and they were like left-handed or whatever, shooting the gun that way. Or there was somebody like a foot or two from them while they were sitting there filming like this or whatever the case be. And there's a guy like right over here next to him shooting towards Kyle's direction is what it was there. But yet those motherfuckers were never arrested and charged with any kind of crimes, dude. Neither was any of these other leftist pieces of shit, dude, entirely. And that's what's fucking ridiculous about our system right now, dude. Is you had so many of these fucking pieces of shit out there doing this crazy ass insanity. Yet, meanwhile, even Kyle himself was sort of a lefty and sort of backed this shit, honestly. Back to Black Lives Matter movement for a little bit there is what it was, dude. But he was also backing law enforcement. And, of course, both of them fucked him in the ass that night is what it was, dude. Across the board, he was fucked over by these people. So, yeah, it's just wild, man. It really is, honestly. Wild, crazy, fucking nuts, insanity, everything else like that, dude, so... But yeah, it's just like, you know, at what point is enough kind of thing is my question, honestly, on this whole thing, man. Because I feel like we're definitely heading towards that time period of history right now where you have people who are like, it's basically you have this two-sided split right now where you have people that actually want the rule of law. And you have people who are so indoctrinated to their own bullshit, they will never actually look at the facts of a case from an unbiased perspective. So they will always come in there with a biased mindset to it already. And because of that, they're never actually going to be able to see the truth is what it is then. So, I don't know, man. It's just fucking irritating either way, but that being said, I got to get some stuff done here for a little bit now, and my cousin's been coming over here in a little while to pick up some stuff for me is what it is then, so we can go get some assessments done is what it is then for me selling some things is what it is then and making some money here, play here is what it is. But yeah, other than that though, that's pretty much what I'm on for the day. I will be back here in about 4 to 5 hours, give or take, hopefully, with Freedom Friday. If I'm not, I'm probably sleeping. I'm not even gonna lie about it, dude. If I don't come back at that point, I'm probably taking a nap is what it is then. So, but yeah, it's a whole thing, man. But anyway, yeah, other than that though, that's pretty much what we're at for the day though. And You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if Rittenhouse is legally in possession of a gun or not, dude, because technically he actually was. When you look at Wisconsin's law and stuff like that, even it came out in the trial for that matter, that, you know, you only had to be 16 to carry that gun. Like, and if anything, the only person really committing a crime that night was Dominic Black, who illegally purchased the gun for Kyle. That's what it was then, dude. But he was never brought up on any kind of, you know, straw purchasing charge or anything like that. That's what it is there. So, you know, again, it is what it is, man. That being said, of course, for those who don't know, Dominic Black was actually fucking one of Kyle Rittenhouse's sisters at the time of his, and that's why they were friends. There's what it was. So, but yeah, it's a whole thing, man. And the only reason that Kyle couldn't buy the gun legally is because he was only 17, where you had to be 18 to buy a rifle, is what it was there. So, anyways, but again, it's semantics, man. You can legally carry in the age of 16 in most states, is what it is, and you're good to roll. So, you know, Kyle did everything right that night, man. He had great trigger discipline. He had great perception of threats and stuff like that. I knew exactly what was going to happen pretty much when it happened, and had to, you know, only use his rifle in self-defense a couple times to deal with active threats against him, was what it was there. So, anyways, but yeah, other than that, though, have a good one, y'all. I will be back, like I said, later this afternoon, about 4 or 5 hours from now, give or take. And hopefully Corey will join us then. If I'm not back then, again, it is what it is, and I'm taking a nap or whatever the case be. I might come back later tonight then, if that be the case then, about 8 or 9 tonight or so, give or take then. So, anyway. But, yeah, either way, if I don't do a stream today, if I don't do another stream today, you got one out of me is what it is already for, you know, almost a half hour here. So, plus you got another one this morning, way early this morning, where it was like an hour and a half or so, give or take on that. So, you know, you guys got more than a couple streams on me this week is what it was then. But anyway. But yeah, have a good one, y'all. Stay safe, stay vigilant. Always be carrying a firearm with you at all times, as long as you're legally able to do so, because you never know who will come for you, what they will be bringing at you, and what kind of criminal shit that they and their gangs and buddies will be trying to do against you is what it is then. So always make sure you're armed and ready to protect yourself against their criminality, and never be the victim. It's as simple as that, man. Never be a victim. Always stand your ground, even in non-stand your ground states. Have a good one, y'all. Later.